Good evening, everybody, and good morning to friends who are joining us beyond our shows. Thank you so much for making time to join us today in this interesting discussion. My name is Balaji, and I also have a couple of my friends here, Avannticka from AWS and Deepak from Narayan. All of us have heard that statement, a picture is worth 1,000 words, and we must have also seen it. But what I've always wondered is, does that statement hold good when there are 1,000 numbers? So always been curious, saying that when you have been able to represent a picture to be able to convey what 1,000 words was trying to do, is somebody able to do that with numbers also? All of us today are swimming against the tide of numbers, right from the time that we wake up and look up at the alarm clock, and then we track our sleep, we track our walk, we track the number of steps, we track the share prices, we track the weather. Numbers are everything around us, right from the time that we wake up to the time that we go to sleep. We continue to deal with numbers. So the big question is, are we meant to continue to swim through this flood of numbers? Or is there a different way by which those numbers could be processed by us in a way that it's more intuitive, that we're able to do it easily, and we're able to make more sense of those numbers? And which is where Deepak and Avannticka are going to share with us their experiences, their insights in what is available through technology to be able to help us process these numbers in a much easier manner, in a much more intuitive manner. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Avannticka for a brief introduction about herself, and to Deepak to talk us through what data is, how it can be turned to gold, and how data can be represented in more visual forms to be able to help us make sense of it. Avannticka, thank you so much for making time for us, and over to you.
Thanks so much, Balaji, and it's a pleasure to be amongst all of you today. My name is Avannticka. I've been working in the BI visualization and analytics space for about a little over 16 years. And, interestingly, the trends have really changed, right? From how customers used to look at data as just standard bar charts or pivots. And to today, the way individuals and customers are looking for data is beyond that. They want to look at insights. They want to try and understand what more can they do with the data, right? So I'm really hoping in the next 45, 50 minutes of our discussion, we can really engage into deep dive conversations around, what at Amazon we are doing different, and how we can, of course, seek to add value to not just your storytelling, right, but actionable insights out of it, right? So that's what I will hopefully contribute today.
Thank you, Avannticka.
Okay. So thank you, Avannticka. Hello, everyone. My name is Deepak Manapure, and so I work as a solution architect with Navicans, and I'm based out of Mumbai location. So the people, logging in from Mumbai location, I hope you are safe and sound. So data, entire data world has changed. It's not only visualization, but entire data world has changed. The amount of data getting generated every second, it's not only about data generation, but it also needs to be visualized at some point of time. That is what we'll take you through today. What is data visualization? How, what is the journey, and what our offerings are? How Navicans can, support the customers in bringing up their data visualization platform, and as well as the data management platform. So this is what we are going to discuss, and how to, so the end objective is to, how you can turn your data into gold. So what you're seeing in your screen as of now is a number. Obviously, it's a moving number, but what it says is, it's a World Cup score of each and every team, and year wise. Now, if I ask you, tell me the numbers India has scored in 2015, and you will have to, you'll have to think of it. You'll have to look for it. But if I present it in a, if I present it in form of story, maybe what you'll do is you'll remember it. There is a fun fact associated to it. So a human brain process visuals 60,000 faster than the text. And human brain is equally, equally good in, recognizing the trends, recognizing the patterns, as well as, identifying the future trends based on or looking at the past data. So what I'm going to tell you today is, so how it starts. So visualization is basically dependent on story. Okay. And story is something which we have been hearing from ages, right? I mean, my grandparents told me some stories, few stories. My parents told me few stories. So ideally, story is just a sequence of event. I would say it is a stitched sequence of events which communicate, or which communicate an idea, which communicate a message. So if you look at if you look at Ramayana, okay, so Ramayana is a story, right? I mean, it's an ancient Indian epic. Shows the courage. It's a story of courage and honor and love. Okay, and Maharshi Valmiki is credited for captivating for crafting this captivating narrative. So if you look at Ramayana, there are so many events which so many sequence of events which kind of generates a narrative. So there are n number of events, but there are few big events which kind of get stitched to create a narrative. Okay, so there are events like born of Lord Rama, birth of Lord Rama, then exile of Lord Rama, abduction of Sita, Hanumana moving to going to Lanka, and then at the end Rama winning the battle. So these are the big events. Obviously, there are small events behind these big events, but so when you stitch all these events, it conveys a story. It generates a context. It generates a narrative. So what you're seeing in the screen, so this is almost storytelling. But how do you link it with data visualization? Storytelling is definitely one component, but how do you bring it? How data visualization enhances the storytelling? So data visualization is a component, I would say, which takes complex data and then presents it in a so data visualization is all about presenting the data in a visually appealing manner. But how storytelling supports it is, it generates a context. I mean, it gives a context or narrative to an insight driven data. So what you're looking at the screen is just a balance sheet of one of the organization, okay, which could be a Greek for many of us. So to a certain age, till certain age, I was not able to process any kind of balance sheets. What is that? What kind of numbers are there? So this is Greek for many of us. So if I ask you to look at this and tell me what would be the 2021 numbers, what would be the insights you generate from these numbers, I think many of us will not be able to tell this that what are the insights, what are the numbers, what are the predictions coming out of these numbers. But if I present it in a visualized, appealing manner, this will look something like this. And I think, as I told you, right, I mean, human brain process visuals faster than the text. I think I'm able to find out something using this visualization. That what was my sale in June 2022, what was my sale in September 22. So I can predict a pattern. I can see a pattern. I can see where my trend is going. Okay, and when I add a commentary, it becomes a story. So from the first graph, I see, okay, I had a strong revenue growth momentum, and from the second graph, I see continuous improvement in EBITDA. So this is all about storytelling with visualization, but this is not static, right? It keeps evolving. So there have been many trends. I'll talk specifically about the latest trends in visualization. And when it comes to latest trends, any latest trend, AI ML is a buzzword, right? I mean, you talk to anyone, be it a kid of 10 years old, and be it an adult of 50 years of old, they're talking about AI. AI is everywhere. And how AI and ML supports, how artificial intelligence, machine learning, is trending in visualization. So if you look at the data, right? I mean, data, gone are the days when we only had structured data. Now the data is coming from diverse sources. It is coming from your ERPs, CRM, which are your internal system, but data is also coming from, websites, streaming devices, IoT devices. Now, earlier, what used to happen is you used to have a structured data, and then you create a static report, scanned report, and it used to take some amount of time to process that data. And talking about unstructured data, there was no capability in all these the old age visualization tools, or I would say reporting tools, to process those unstructured data. In the recent age, with this latest trend, AI ML is a backbone, is I would say is becoming a backbone of data visualization, because it comes up with NLP capabilities, natural language processing capabilities, natural language generation capabilities. And we all know, what is generative AI, Chat GPT. What is Chat GPT doing? So you have plenty of structured data. Now you have plenty of unstructured data coming from different sources. You need to process it, right? You need to generate insights out of it. This is where AI ML plays a role in taking out the context, taking out the meat from these unstructured and structured documents, and generate insights using NLP, NLG, and the LLM models. One of the example I'll talk about is we have done an implementation wherein the customer wanted their sales representative to check the data on the go, right? So we did a chatbot implementation for them, and a sales representative can now look at the data, look at the data from a prospect point of view, and look at the data of existing customer, what sale an existing customer has done so far, and what are the prospects, where am I going, whether it is possible to convert the lead. So it tells about that chatbot. The chatbot helps my sales representative in showing us those figures. Mobile friendly visualization. So mobile is an integral part of our life, right? I mean, be it professional, be it personal world, and everyone wants to have. I mean, this Outlook is configured in all of us our mobiles, right? So in the same way, the stakeholders are now expecting that we need to have a mobile friendly reports as well. So this is the trend. This is not, I would say, this is not something which is started now, but I think in the last 1 or 2 years we are seeing this trend as the customers, business to stakeholders have started asking for mobile friendly visualizations. Data democratization is another I would say is a significant component. It is a significant trend, part of this latest trend. Because the amount of data getting generated at different systems, it also needs to be reported, right? And it should also be consumed by users to generate the insights, to generate the leads, to generate the benefits and benefits out of data. So data democratization talks about consuming the data at an individual level, and show the benefits. Real-time analytics. As I said, we are seeing the real-time the generation of real-time data. There is a demand in the industry now to look at the data. I mean, to analyze the data at real time. One of the example of real-time analytics is, I would say, is a fraud detection. As and when the event has happened, I would like to know, what are the consequences, and I would like to be alerted. I would like to be alarmed that there have been certain, fraud happened with me. So real-time analytics plays an important role in this particular scenario where a fraud is happened and a user is notified immediately. Then you have video analytics. I think the importance of video analytics we all would be knowing. During the COVID era, there have been ample of scenarios wherein people wanted to
Did we lose Deepak?
Yeah, maybe I think he has some power outage. Sure. So maybe on that thought, Avannticka, so for the variety of scenarios which are coming up, What has been your experience from AWS and how technology has been able to cater to these emerging needs and almost enable people by different ways of looking at data in their daily lives? Sorry,
Yeah,
Deepak, I had to just switch because your power was acting up.
Okay, no problem, no problem.
you know, and it's a very, very interesting thought, right? In terms of real-time analytics, in terms of AI ML insights, in terms of whether you're looking for social media analytics or Q to enable, individuals to empower and enable them to make better decision making. And, at AWS, we've been on a complete mission to ensure that we're able to democratize data and also provide insights to end customers and, of course, organizations to enable them. And I think some of the key points that, and I'm sure we'll talk about it in the following slides, is around our investments that we've been doing heavily around NLP and Q insights. So Amazon QuickSight, right, um, is a serverless BI which actually provides individuals to sort of break down BI silos, provide a lot of interactive capability, but also really enable a BI user to sort of go to a AI journey. So gone are the days where individuals want to rely on a IT professional to sort of cater to everything that they need, right? People want to have power of decision making in their hands. So capabilities around having a queue to ask questions and provide responses, ask probing questions, or even a lot of advancements we've been doing around the space of the generative AI and large language models. It's just opened up a whole lot of world of possibilities. And specifically, with our offering around the Amazon QuickSight, we've been using a lot of generative models to really power the QuickSight queue specifically, where users are quickly able to ask questions. And that's something which has been a low code, no code experience, which has been going on for quite a few years right now. And as and when individuals and customers and organizations are asking more and more around, generative AI models, which is today becoming more and more powerful, there are a lot of innovations that we've been doing, which really helps users to not just explore data, but also insights, and also share that with the community of users in the organization, and of course collaborate and use them. So yeah, it just goes on to saying that enabling and accessing and empowering users to make a better decision making in a quicker way is something that has been at the core of what we do.
Deepak, do you want to pick up from where you
Yeah,
were
sure.
interrupted? And I think your
Yeah,
screen
yeah.
may have gone out of view.
Right. Can you see my screen now?
Not yet.
Or is it? Let me do it again. Let me share it again.
So, Avannticka, while that comes up, I just wanted to pick up on the topic we set out to discuss today, which is turning data to gold. So, similar to how we extract gold from what we were to excavate from the earth, what is the process of excavating the most valuable data from all the things that we might have within our repositories?
Your question is centered around what are the various ways of extracting information? Is that
Yeah, the more valuable information. Yeah.
See,
Because all of us are swarming in deluge of data. How should I know which is the more valuable one, which is the right one that I should be using for my decisions?
See, the best way to understand that is, of course, working with the end stakeholder, whoever is responsible for the data, right? What are the top questions you have in your mind when you look at a data? Now, your data in your data sources or your database could it really have terabytes of information. Now, that's not essentially something a retail customer or an HR customer or a finance customer would be interested in. So, what are the top of mind questions that you are seeking to communicate with your end customers, or you are seeking to gain knowledge from, I think that is going to be at the center stage of looking at and trying to understand and working backwards from, right? It is very important to keep in mind that a lot of times, right, the whole, and in the slide that you're looking at, right, more around, the Q capabilities, right, is centered around, uh, don't look at something from a IT or a tech lens, essentially. All of these capabilities that are there in an Amazon quick site is meant to empower a business user. So a business user would look at a business solving for a business problem. How do I look at my expense management? Or what are my top 5 products that are having a sale today? What are my least favorite items that are being sold today? How am I performing this year's information in comparison with the last 3 years of information? What are the top performing products that are really adding value? And what are the bottom performing products that are not adding value? So I can remove that from my inventory, right? So look at these Q questions and from a perspective of a business lens, and not from a perspective of how do I enable, solve for a tech problem, because tech problems can always be solved for, but look at it from a business lens. Now, the second point to remember is, and a lot of the host of capabilities that are coming out of the box with an Amazon quick site, right? Auto narratives, right? Today, traditionally, a lot of customers, right? They look at multiple tools for solving for multiple problems. And the way we look at it is we want to democratize data, democratize decision making, but also ensure that you're also able to save a lot of time. So if you were to do a business review with your end customers, for instance, or your own internal audience for that matter, as a business analyst, you'd probably cut, copy, paste a lot of visuals. Maybe you're using traditional tools for it. Maybe you're using other modern BI tools for it. You might put everything into a presentation and share that across. But auto narratives enables you to leverage the quick site itself as a platform to, really hold the one single source of truth itself, to be relied on QuickSight itself as a platform. Your ML predictions, right? And a lot of customers want to leverage and find out, if I have a specific amount of data, how can I enable my data scientist who's probably working on advanced models in, the traditional tools to quickly make decisions. And that's where an Amazon SageMaker Jumpstart can really come and make a lot of difference. How do I bring in an anomalies or identify outliers in my data to really understand what is the outlier or that product that is making a difference, or that specific month where my product did not perform well, or a forecasting to really make a lot of difference. So these are some of the different ways that you're able to add a lot of value, irrespective of, whether you have terabytes and terabytes of information scattered across in disparate sources where, you don't really have to dig through the information to find out what's relevant. So looking at it from a business lens to solve for, to utilize a lot of the inbuilt capabilities that are coming out of the box will really be helpful, along with, certain out of the box solutions, which you are certainly offering, right?
And Balaji, going back to what Avantika's first point, right? I mean, knowing the business first and then technology implementation can follow. This is where I think Navigance comes into the picture. We have so one of our core value is outcome first and technology second. And this is a strategic, this is a strategic approach which focuses more on the defining the desired outcome first, and desired goals first. And probably once you have right objective, correct set of goals, I think technology implementation can come later. And this is the approach we follow for all of our engagements, wherein we first define the objectives, we work with customers, we connect with customers, we do all these business stakeholders interview, we do a brainstorming session, and based on those defined business objectives, Then we move to the implementation side, where therein we define, what set of tool we should go with, what kind of KPIs customer wants, considering the objectives we have defined in the first phase.
Mhm.
So these are our service offerings, visualization service offerings. So what we do at Navicans is more of, it's, as you can see, you only see the visualization offering, but there is more to it. I mean, it's just not, we just don't work on visualization. There is whole data management landscape behind the scene. Okay. So as part of visualization, we work on dashboard development, we work on platform improvement, we work on, maintenance and support, working towards enhancement of existing reports, fine tuning existing reports, SSO authentication. And then we, last but not the least, the agile development part, wherein we do a quick POCs for customer, define the wireframes, develop the prototypes, get the approval, get the buy-in, and then move to the next phase. So this is what has been our motto: outcome first, technology second. Uh, Moving next is, one of the case study. I'll quickly try to, let everyone know, what we have done, as Navicans for one of our customer. This was a beverage, company based out of, APAC region, and they wanted to have a regional sales dashboard. Okay. Now so within the APAC, they have different opcos. They had, Malaysia, Myanmar, Singapore, and each opcos were doing their own, business insights reporting, I would say, uh, uh, report generation at the local level. But the management at APAC level wanted to see a consolidated report, wherein they would be able to see the reports, the data coming in from wherein they would be able to see the sales data, sales reporting, of all the opcos, sales performance, I would say. And this is where Navicans pitched in. We worked with them. We identified the objectives. What could be a common set of objectives? Because you might have different KPIs at local level, and you might want to have different KPIs at the global, at the APAC level. So we worked with customer. We defined the KPIs at the global level. One of the USP of this project, of our service, was, creating a common data model which would be accommodating data from all these local opcos, and then creating ETLs on top of that, and creating the visualization. So this has given a sense of, enhanced visibility to a leadership at APAC level. Now they are able to track the sales happening at the local opco level. So I would say so one of the business outcome was, consolidation of opco sales data for regional and local sales management. Moving next is, in a box offering. So in a box is a metaphorical term. It simplifies. I mean, it signifies that something which is needed is a single solution, okay, and neatly packaged. So we at Navicans, we have come up with, different types of inner box offering, wherein we have a data ingestion frameworks which connects to different data sources and pulls the data, immediately sets up the data lake. We do have a data migration framework, wherein if a customer is willing to, migrate the data warehouse from one database, one vendor to another vendor, there's something we can do quickly with the data migration framework. And then we have, BI in a box offering, which can immediately, which can help a customer to immediately start. These kind of, inner box offering services are mostly, immediately deployable and immediately consumable. So Avannticka, you want to, highlight something on this?
Yeah, so I mean, I'm glad you brought up the point around inner box solution, right? And honestly, where does this really help with, a lot of your customers? Today, you might be a retail customer or a finance customer or a manufacturing customer or somebody, a sales professional. You could be in multitude of roles and hats that you're wearing internally. And BI in a box, or essentially, it's a set of curated or predefined templates, right? Which really helps you plug and play into various cuts of industry, and just plug and play and really reduces your entire cycle of development, right? And the front end of this is your Amazon quick site, right? And what really works is, if you're a business user who is consuming a BI in a box solution, and I'm sure we're going to talk about what Navigance's couple of on a top couple of dashboards are in the next few slides. But with Amazon QuickSight acting in the front and behind, multiple layers behind it, right? It just reduces your need for having multiple BI tools. So with Amazon QuickSight, and you can obviously bring in multiple or unified BI experience. What that essentially means is, today, whether it is an enterprise BI reporting need or a operational reporting need like a MIS or a paginated report, or if you want to cater to a embedding requirement where you are a retail customer or a manufacturing customer who want to log into a specific portal, access your dashboards, but have multiple components acting behind, you have one tool catering to all of these requirements, right? And where QuickSight really makes a lot of difference compared to any of the other competitors with respect to, of course, the consumption based model. So unlike a traditional BI where it's a pre-packaged model, the consumption model is what makes a lot of difference with QuickSight. And of course, the ability to auto scale drastically and leverage Q and insights. I think we've spoken a lot about it in the earlier slide as well, in terms of the need to go toward how we're using a lot of Q and insights in all that we do day in and day out, right? And to quote some of the top logos, right? Deepak, if you want to go to the next slide, yeah. In fact, just these are some of those top logos that are using all publicly referenceable customers within India. If you know of a big basket or a Paytm, these are some top customers using it. Let's move on. And again, just to give you a perspective of how a BI in a box can be leveraged, whether it is a enterprise or an embedded or an interactive ask of a customer, right? So that you're able to make sense and reduce your entire cycle of building something from scratch. And why should you use something like this? Because if you were to do something, you'll have to really plan your end-to-end cycle, and it's a longer process. Typically, most customers don't have that level of expertise to handle it end-to-end. And of course, building something like that and planning for and architecting it is a longer sales cycle if you don't have that expertise. But when you leverage that with QuickSight, of course, being a self-service and a very easy to use platform and a PI in a box offering where this is plugged into, it just makes your cycle all the more easier, right?
Absolutely.
And just to add on, around the interactive capability, right? You're quickly able to, of course, plug and play around with interactive dashboards. So whether it is a mobile experience or an embedded experience or an experience where you're just seeking to take, your templatized version that Deepak, you and your team are offering, right? It just makes the entire cycle much more consumable and easier for an audience, right?
Absolutely, Avannticka. So in a box offering, especially BI in a box offering, is beneficial for customers because you don't need to get into those implementation cycles. It comes with its own capability, and you can immediately start using it with minimal setup and minimal configuration. And this is where so we come up with our own offering, which is spend management in a dashboard, spend management in a box, I would say. So what does it do is, it is more of it's a platform which provides a visual representation to an organization's spending patterns, spending activities, and financial activities. So this dashboard especially uses spend data, supplier data, delivery data, and procurement data to generate the insights covering the areas such as spend analysis, cost saving opportunities, supply performance analysis, procurement cycle analysis, delivery, overall supply chain performance analysis, I would say. So the good part of this offering is it is more of an horizontal solution, I think, and I would say it is applicable to most of the industries, pharmaceutical, healthcare, construction, financial services, automotive, hospitality, government sectors as well. So the idea was to help CFOs, finance managers, executives, procurement heads to quickly look at the data, to quickly have a sneak peek at the data, the financial data and the spending data of an organization. So this is going to be very helpful for CFOs, procurement heads, managers, supplier relationship managers, and the other senior executives in the organization. So I would quickly like to show the inner box offering, spend management in box in offering, and so that people can get a feel of what this offering is. And let me know if you're able to see my screen when
See it, Deepak.
yeah. Is it visible?
Yes, we can see.
All right, thank you, Avannticka. So this is the spend management homepage, wherein we'll be talking about mostly about what kind of dashboards we have. From this homepage, you can scroll to the next page. We have procurement. As I said, we're talking about procurement. We are talking about supplier performance analysis. We're talking about spend analysis, cost saving opportunities, and well as the risk and compliance analysis. So if I go to procurement, hold on. Yeah. So if I go to procurement, what I can see is the end-to-end analysis of my procurement data. I mean, using my procurement data, I can see what has been my requisition to order cycle time, when was the when was it requisitioned, and when was the order delivered. What is a summary of procurement delivery at the monthly level. And when I say monthly level, this is not a monthly level dashboard. It can get refreshed on a daily basis, but it completely depends on the customer choice of frequency. You can see what are the procurement materials, and you can definitely have a look at the cost. What are the top 5 procurement materials by cost. Uh, we have considered Indian customers in our mind, while coming up with this offering, and all the quick site features have been implemented on this dashboard, which showcases the ability of inner box offering as well as the quick site abilities. You have purchase order processing time. You can look at the supplier performance in terms of supply chain. How has been whether there has been on-time delivery by any supplier or not. So this is more at the regional level, state level. But yeah, you can drill down to a supplier level as well. As I said, this is more on to the supplier performance. If you want to assess a supplier, what has been the cost competitiveness, what is the quality performance of a supplier, how many orders he has already supplied, what was the demand of the orders and supply, and how much he has delivered already. Then we talk total procurement value by supplier. This is more about supplier performance. Then we talk about spend analysis, wherein we show the spending pattern, what was the allocated budget and what was the address spend against the allocated budget. Likewise, what has been the spend by supplier, what has been the spend by region, and what has been the spend by material. So it gives you a feeling of you can have a touch and feel of your spend data, and where are you spending more, whether you're spending more on material, and which region you're spending more, and onto which supplier is spending more. Cost saving dashboard helps us in identifying the cost saving opportunities. What is the average value of that particular ordered component, and what is the price variance what we got from supplier. So again, you can look at the estimated procurement value by material cost by supplier. So it gives you an edge. It helps customers to identify where I can save my cost. Whether I can save my cost by just ordering this material from a different supplier, from a different region completely. And the one of the best feature of this dashboard of this offering is you can have you can align to, or you can abide to a risk and compliance rules. You can look at whether your supplier is compliant to the regulations or not. You can check the financial health rating of a supplier. You can check what is the reputation over the time for the supplier, and you can look at it against a certain target benchmark score. In the same way, from the anti-corruption policies check point of view, environmental sustainability point of view, this dashboard or this inner box offering helps our customers to have a look of entire spending patterns, risk and compliance, regulations, and the supplier data, supplier attributes. So this is what we try to do as part of what we're trying to convey as part of spend management in a box offering. Give me a second, I'm coming back to the deck. Can you see my deck, Avannticka, Balaji?
Yes, we can.
Yeah.
Deepak, if you also want to quickly show the queue capability, queue area
Absolutely.
in
Yeah.
your.
Sorry, I missed that.
dashboard.
Yeah. So as you know, Avannticka was talking about QuickSight queue capability. This is something more of a natural language query. How you just need to type in the query, and it will look at your data and will try to come up with the output. So whatever query you have fed in. So I just entered what is the material cost by quarter. Okay, this is an average value quarter wise, but you can also play with you can also play using you can type in different queries, and knowing your data. I mean, just look at the dashboard, and if you want to quickly have a look at the data, maybe you just feed in the query and it will give you the data. It will return the output, the required output. Maybe I can type in other things, another query. What is the cost competitiveness of Apex Pharma solution? Okay, see, I just typed in different query and it returned the output using the underlying data set.
So what you all can also do is with the queue capability, right? On the upper right-hand side, you can just see there's a point section for the visual, the bar graph. You can just play around with visuals. You can also ask why question, for instance, probing questions, if that's relevant for your data, right? Compare this year versus last year, compare Q1 day versus Q2, or why did a specific cost or specific supplier not perform well? Those are probing questions you can ask. And this is, of course, one of the really insightful capabilities which a lot of our customers really enjoy and prefer to use today.
Certainly, this is a wonderful feature from QuickSight, wherein you don't need to look at the dashboards and you just feed in your query and it will return the data. So similar to the spend management offering, we also so before jumping to the another offering, the benefit of or what so let's say a customer, an Indian customer with with a turnover of around 1,000 crores. These solution can be quickly implemented in their environment. I mean, should not take, so if you follow a usual implementation approach, this is definitely going to take 6 to 9 months of implementation cycle. But with this dashboard, I think it is more of configurable dashboards, configurable in a box offering. You would be able to run all your dashboards within 2 months. It obviously depends on the underlying data, the complexity of data, but I think a customer should be able to run these dashboards in 2 or 2.5 months in their environment.
And that is including your end-to-end processing. It's not, when we say in a box solution, right? What you might see in the front end must be a visualization layer, but there is a lot of components that is working behind, right? And Deepak covered that earlier in terms of the ingestion, the data management itself, the data lake component, right? All of those things is plugged and put together to curate and bring in your in a box solution, right? Just thought I'll add that.
Absolutely, thank you. Yeah. So similar to spend management in a box offering, we we also work on, we also have an HR analytics offering, wherein it enables HR professionals to have a look at their HR data in a visually accessible and interactive format. And so these are the broadly, in a broader term, we have covered few key modules which is relevant to HR data. Something like recruitment and onboarding. You can have an overview of your workforce. You can assess the performance of employees. You can have a look at the attrition rates, employee turnover. What is the diversity and inclusion factor in your organization? How the training and development unfolds, CNV data, compensation benefits data, and last but not the least, the compliance data, which is nowadays, which is of really, which is of very high importance nowadays. So these are the two offerings which Navicans offers: spend management as well as HR analytics. And how do we do that? I mean, obviously, it's not only limited to the inner box offering, but if a customer comes in and say that, no, I mean, obviously, along with apart from these offerings, if we want to a scratch implementation, how would you do it? And this is where our succeed framework, I'm sorry, Avannticka, you want to take from here, data-driven culture with skill?
So you can finish your succeed framework and I will come.
Sure. Yeah. So this is where we help customers, with our succeed framework. It is as simple as, you start with clear goal, and I've talked about it. One of our core values, outcome first, technology second. And this is where, we first identify the clear goals. We work with customers, we identify, we conduct the brainstorming sessions, we identify the obstacles, risks, and then we come with a clear set of objectives, which is, abiding to a larger strategy of the organization. Okay. The next step in this framework is more of, understand. Obviously, you have defined the objectives, but then you have to understand the various key components involved to deliver this, to suffice this or to satisfy these objectives, right? We gather the relevant information, we understand the process, we explore the data, we understand the major milestones required or involved to deliver the business objectives. Then we consider and choose different aspects. So while coming up with a solution, we look at the scalability point of view. We consider the budgets, cost factors, security, privacy, which is of high importance now. We look at the right tools, right resources. We suggest right tools and qualified processes, which then takes us to a different to the next step of execution and evaluation. So we opt for right. So as I said, we opt for right processes, implementing those processes, monitoring the project, looking at the change and risk management. This is what we do as part of execution and evaluation phase. Something which we keenly do is we measure our performance against the success criteria defined initially at the initial of the project. And the last stage is D, which without D, the succeed is not complete, right? So deliver. So ensuring quality, right quality is delivered, catering to enhancements and setting up the right feedback mechanism. So we use this framework to deliver all kind of engagements, all kind of projects. It's not only the data visualization framework, but any kind of data management, digital engineering, and as well as the the AI/ML kind of engagements. We use this framework. Avannticka, you want to take up anything? Sorry.
Otherwise, probably there are some questions on the chat. I think we should certainly spend some time in probably catering to the questions. I mean, maybe that's something maybe we can spend some time and, just hear in terms of what we've been able to communicate. I think that's something we can probably step to right now.
Sure.
So I think, yeah, Balaji, go ahead.
Yeah, there's a question from Seema, a very relevant question that is there in most of our mind. Let me read out that question and either of you could take it. So if my data is on premise and not on the cloud, say just in an Excel sheet, can I still use AWS QuickSight to be able to create a dashboard out of it? How does it get done? How easy is it? Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, let me take that up. See, essentially, This is QuickSight is completely serverless. So unlike any of the other tools you've traditionally been working with, there's no desktop component that requires you to install on it. What typically happens is you have an option to upload a file within its own memory, which is called as Spice, which is a super fast in-memory calculation engine, which is, of course, parallel processing. And it allows you to quickly then cache whatever is there in this particular uploaded file within its memory and then pull the data out from it, right? So the simple answer is yes, you can certainly connect to it, but when you connect to it, you'll obviously bring it within its own memory. And one very important part and point of view is, we are looking at democratizing data. And we at Amazon and AWS, we strongly believe that the right solution for the right purposes, right? If this is something that you're doing day in and day out, working on Excel files, what happens when somebody goes ahead and deletes an Excel files or goes and makes a change on it? Who owns it up, right? So those are really some thoughts that you may want to put on when you really work on those.
Sure. Helpful, Avannticka. Let me just step into the next one, which is, does BI in a box reduce my time to be able to get a dashboard to be done and ready? How does it really help rather than if you were to almost start by creating it for the first time? Where does the difference really come in? Deepak, do you want to
let me take
help
it,
us
sure.
understand that?
Sure.
Yeah.
So during this entire conversation, one of the point what Avannticka brought is, if you want to implement, if you want to start this kind of project to set up the data visualization or something like sprint management dashboard, it is definitely, there are different things, there are multiple things involved, right? I mean, obviously there is it will take around 8 to 10 months of time, and then you need to have certain right set of resources, you need to have right architecture, and then and the environment as well, right? These kind of offerings, so these kind of inner-box offerings is, you don't need to worry about the resources, you don't need to worry about those 10 to 12 months. The offering is there. You just need to deploy it in your environment, and then the configuration of these kind of dashboards or these offerings, it doesn't take more than 2 months of time. You just need to understand the data and simply plug and play in the environment. And maybe in 1.5 or 2 months, a customer would start would start seeing the benefits of these kind of initiatives.
Okay, thank you. I'm just conscious of the time. We have about 3 minutes. Thank you, Kavana, for your question. So, Avannticka, you could help with this. What is typically the costing of those tools? What are the typical models in which the costing is worked out? Any guidance on that?
Yeah, so if you were to compare yourself against, any of the ones in a BI quadrant, right, our costing would really be we are at least 2x to 3x lower, especially because it's not like a blanket pricing for everything, right? Our pricing is really structured on how our users really consuming it, and the pricing is purely based on that. So there is never a question of you're paying for something and then you're wondering, did my users really use it? So that's number one. Number two is there's of course layerings around. We understand from our customers that not everybody requires everything, right? And it is also not fair to understand and assume that everybody in an organization is going to have all the capabilities, and the needs are different. So our tiers are also different. For example, if somebody needs to have queue capability, there is a different costing to it. If someone just needs to go for a drag and drop and build kind of an environment, that level is different. Largely, that also adds to a lot of cost savings for our customer. So that really is an area that helps.
It's almost like a pizza. You buy a base and then you decide which other toppings you need to go.
Yeah, absolutely. You said it right.
Okay, helpful. So I'll take one last question here. From QuickSight, is there a way for me to be able to write rules to customize the scheduling as to when it should be able to refresh the whole plot of the data? How do I control it? And what are the kind of flexibilities does it offer?
Absolutely. So the simple answer is yes, it's absolutely possible. Custom schedules are possible. And not only that, you can have schedules to say that, based off of some activity is when the following should be refreshed. And you can even say that but if this is successful, then the next step should run. So those are all managed within the QuickSight console by default. I mean, it's very, very easy. The application console really manages all of those things. The simple answer is yes, it's out of the box possible, and also a key point to note, and a key ask from a lot of customers too.
Excellent. All right, I'm just looking at the clock. We are literally at the top of the hour. So I'm not going to hold back everyone, but Avannticka and Deepak, thank you so much. An extremely helpful, insightful session. It really opened us to what are the possibilities to be able to visualize data and be able to draw better decisions using that. And thank you again for opening our eyes to what QuickSight can do, how it's a fairly interesting technology to use to be able to create some excellent visualized way to be able to understand data. And all of us will be keen to be able to go to the relevant sources, learn more about it, and put it to use. And do expect some questions to come your way to be able to help us understand this tool better, but looking forward to putting it to use for our business needs. Thank you. And thank you everyone for your wonderful participation, extremely interactive, and thanks for the questions.
Thank you, Balaji. Signing
Thank
off
you so
with
much
a
for your time.
quick
Thank you.
move on.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Avannticka. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.